Hi everyone, Alyssa here for AOP Tech on YouTube, and today I'm going to share with you the Google Classroom updates that Google recently released over the course of August for Google Classroom and Back to School 2017. So let's jump into our Classroom homepage. So one of the first things that you'll be able to do in Google Classroom now is something I've been wishing for such a long time. You can reorder your classes. It used to drive me crazy that I couldn't put my classes in alphabetical order or in the order in which I taught them. Now you can simply click and hold and drag to reorder your classes in whatever method you choose, or by using the snowman three little dots more button, you can move them that way and it will bring up a box here and you can reorder your classrooms. So that was one of the first changes. And I know it's a little thing, but it's one of those little things that can make a really big difference. I'm going to jump into my demo classroom here, and you'll notice too, when you go to your Students tab, there's a couple things that you're able to do. First, you can, and it brought me up a little warning here, I can track an individual student's progress, which is really exciting. This is something I know that a lot of teachers have been asking for. How can I see all the work submitted by a particular student, not necessarily by assignment? So now if I go to my student stream, I can select an individual student, and I can see all the work. I can see what's missing, turned in. I can filter it along the left-hand side so I can see only the items that are turned in or only the items that are missing, and then email directly from that student, directly from this screen here. So that's a great feature. I know that's something a lot of teachers have been asking for. How can I track an individual student versus tracking the assignment itself? Know that too, when you're doing grading, you can now use decimal points. Before you had to use a whole number in Google Classroom when you were grading an assignment. But pro tip, you can now use decimal points, which is great too, for all of those nice exact grading methods folks like to use. Another tip here, with the class code, you're now able to display it in a full screen mode. So what a lot of teachers were doing was writing it on the corner of the board or printing it in a syllabus, something like that. If you're having students sign up the day of class, right in your class period, you can use this full screen mode to really have that projected nice and large for your students, so you're not having to repeat it multiple times. We know that sometimes we have to do that as teachers. That should make it a little bit easier for you. Another feature, if I'm gonna jump over to my About portion of my Google Classroom here. We've always been able to add another teacher to a class, which is great if you're co-teaching or teaching between buildings. Maybe you're a support teacher, whatever the case may be. We've always been able to add another teacher. We can also now, by having that second teacher in there, and yes, I did add myself as a co-teacher on my own class, I can now remove that teacher. We know that, but we can also make that other teacher the class owner. And this happens in schools sometimes where maybe a teacher is out on leave or there is, an unexpected change in schedule, or a teacher leaves or joins the faculty, and it's not something that you want to restart a whole new class, Google Classroom class for. You can now change the ownership. So two things that happen with that. When you change the ownership, that new teacher now owns that Google Drive folder that's associated with your Google Classroom and the contents of it, as well as the turned in work via Google Classroom. So they're able to go back to something that might have already been turned in to view that. So the first step in doing so is inviting that new teacher, whether they're in within your domain. So you're able to invite that teacher. Once they've accepted it, then you can make that teacher the class owner there. So great if there's shifts in faculty or some unexpected pieces that have come up in our daily lives in classrooms. We know that sometimes we have to be flexible like that in our school communities. I'm going to jump back here to my stream, and it doesn't matter really where I am because you should notice in the top right-hand corner of my screen, I now have the apps launcher. Before, Google Classroom did not have the app launchers in the top right-hand corner like most of the Google apps have. Now it does. So you're able to jump between your classroom, or students can jump between the classroom and Google Docs and wherever they need to go, because the app launcher, sometimes also called the Quilt, or also called, if you were in my class because it was fun, the Waffle, you're able to jump between your Google apps there. Again, another nice feature. You'll start to see more and more as Classroom continues to grow. Google announced that there are more and more tools that are integrating with Google Classroom. One of my favorites that I share a lot in our AOP Tech community is Quizzes, Quizzizz, for formative assessment. Kami is another one. And soon they announced that code.org is going to integrate with Google Classroom. So that's really exciting news. Not something I can show you here yet, but I wanted to make you aware of. And if you want all the latest in the tools that are integrating with Google Classroom, you can follow the hashtag #WithClassroom on Twitter. Two other pieces. You'll notice that I can't necessarily show you here because they are coming soon or on mobile. So first, on mobile, you can see here that with my name, I have my little profile picture. That wasn't the case on Google Classroom mobile platforms, whether that be on an iOS device or an Android device. You can now add in your profile picture on mobile, so get your selfies ready. And finally, this is a coming soon. Google teased this, has not launched yet, but in Google Forms, which I know tons of teachers are using the quiz feature on, we love it at AOP Tech. You'll be able to import those Google Form quizzes grades into Google Classroom. So that connection is coming soon. So I wanted to make sure you were aware. So that is a whole bunch of great Google Classroom updates. As always, Google Classroom is listening to teacher feedback and updating and improving their platform all the time. So I hope that helps you out in this back to school season. As always, you can subscribe to AOP Tech on YouTube for all of our latest videos. Feel free as well to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Have a great day.